Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and we're going to be live in just over 1 minute on the radio. I'm going to lead today with this insane story out of the Atlantic, which does not make any sense to me whatsoever. We'll cover the whole story and take your calls as well. All right, 30 seconds, and we will be live. I'm at the radio station today, obviously. I got to come up here today and one other day this week. And then this time next week, I'll be on a beautiful cruise ship somewhere in the ocean.
At very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Alrighty, welcome to the program, everyone. It is, can you believe it, Tuesday morning already. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We got a lot to cover, and I'm going to start today with this Pete Hegseth fake news journalist leak story. I'm going to go through this story. There's some possible theories as to what's going on. And if you're not familiar with the story, you will be as the hour goes on. So just stay tuned. But very bizarre story has come out. And it's being widely reported. However, not a lot of new information is being reported, okay? Because what we're getting from most of the media out there, because that's how the media are now, they're just copying and pasting other reports. So they're plagiarizing, but they're plagiarizing plagiarism. So I mean, it's, you know, that game of telephone. It's a very bizarre thing. There's I'll go through the details, but just to give you a sentence or two description of what's going on, there's a left-wing Trump-hating reporter from the Atlantic who reported that he was included in a top-secret chat with Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others discussing, before it happened, the attack on the Houthis. So they were talking about battle plans, according to the Atlantic reporter. Hegseth has denied this. Let me go through this story first in the Daily Mail. The journalist added to a group chat involving several of Donald Trump's most important cabinet members discussing war plans has shot back at Pete Hegseth's blistering denial of the story. I'll play this audio of all of this later. But Pete Hegseth was on the tarmac yesterday and denied this pretty hardcore. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Now, this guy, you're going to hear this a lot today. This Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic is one of the biggest Trump haters in the fake news media. He's the one that reported, he's the original reporter of that fake news story that President Trump referred to veterans as losers. Remember that? Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, which I didn't even know still existed. I haven't heard about The Atlantic in like 15 or 20 years, made the jaw-dropping revelation on Monday when he found himself added to a conversation on Signal, an encrypted messaging app. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz started the chat, which included users identified as Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and the Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, a CIA representative, Trump advisor Stephen Miller, and Trump White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. So they had this chat on Signal, and this well-known, I mean, this guy is one of the, in the Washington circles, is one of the most well-known never-Trumpers in all of media. And that's saying a lot because there's so many in the media. Goldberg spoke to CNN Monday night, revealing how the chat included, quote, attack plans, locations, and identities of targets, and the sequence of strikes against the Houthis, which showed Hegseth's denial of the story was a lie. No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. Now, this guy apparently has screenshots when targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening, he said, the reporter. Pete Hegseth, appearing for the first time since the story was published after a flight to Hawaii, lashed out at Goldberg, similar to how President Trump slammed his magazine. So you're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who has made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. He cited various stories The Atlantic has run on Trump's alleged connections to Russia, his very fine people comments after the Charlottesville incident, which was so preposterous that so he's reported that lie, and the fake news story of suckers and losers comments on soldiers killed in war by President Trump. Hegseth went on to say, this guy who peddles in garbage, this is what he does. He praised American troops fighting the Houthis in Yemen, that's Hegseth, and criticized the Biden administration for their own performance. A reporter asked Pete Hegseth, why were those details shared on Signal? Hegseth replied, I've heard how it was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. When reached for comment, a spokesman for the Pentagon told the Daily Mail, we do not have anything to offer beyond the Secretary's remarks. Goldberg, he's the Atlantic fake news reporter, added that there was more he didn't publish because it was too consequential, too technical, and I worry that sharing that information in public could be harmful to American military personnel. All of a sudden, the liberals protecting in the military. He set the scene that he was sitting in a supermarket parking lot watching the chat unfold. They were running a war plan on a messaging app and didn't even know who was in the conversation. It's an obvious, ridiculous security breach, and if you notice, he didn't actually answer the question. That's the Atlantic reporter. He added, they're supposed to keep all those conversations on the high side, the classified side. That's why they have that. The editor adds that he had no idea who could have invited him into the chat, nor does he know who they meant to invite. How could you possibly invite the editor of The Atlantic into your chat? What are the chances of that? Goldberg added that he felt real anxiety and anger about the sloppiness of those involved. Remember, American service people were involved directly in this attack. It wasn't just standoff weapons fired from 1,000 miles away. You can't just put out this kind of information and hope for the best. Goldberg joked that those involved are lucky they didn't send this to the Houthi by mistake, or a foreign diplomat, or someone who could be in their phones. I guess they could count that as kind of luck. He added that the entire team never seemed to question his place in the group chat, nor contacted him when he left it. It's a level... I lost my place here. Long article. I guess that's a nice way of saying it. A level of recklessness that I've not seen in many years of national security reporting, the Atlantic reporter said. When reached for comment, a spokesman for the Pentagon said, we do not have anything to offer beyond the Secretary's remarks again. Goldberg was also stunned to see J.D. Vance disagreeing with the president, breaking with Trump, and also questioning his knowledge on the subject. And he has some screenshots. J.D. Vance, in this screenshot that the reporter took, J.D. Vance says, Pete Hegseth, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. And if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Pete Hegseth, this is in the chat. I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet, on our side of the ledger, who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is a good time as any. Given POTUS's directive to reopen shipping lanes, I think we should go. But POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. SM, as I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. It goes on a little bit about that. Okay, now I'm not going to read through any more of this story right now. I did tweet this, and I will play some of the audio, and we'll talk about it. If you're on hold, hang in there. As far as I can see, there are several possibilities with what happened with this. And we'll take our first break, and when we get back from the break, I'll share with you what I think the possibilities of what happened really, truly are. And I would like to hear your thoughts on this, too. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines.
Gotta turn the air down.
Get in on the action. Call
So
the
what do you
Steve
guys
Kane
think?
Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott, the DJ here at the True Oldies Channel, smack dab in the middle of the Steve Kane Show with Brian, and a reminder that we're back to the rock and roll oldies at 10 a.m. this morning, right here on the True Oldies Channel.
For over 100 years, Sloman's Home Security has been the trusted name in protecting what matters most, your home and your family. With 24/7 monitoring and responsive customer service, we provide real security powered by real people. Because when it comes to safety, the difference is human. The difference is
I'll share what possibilities I see, but there could be more than the ones that I give.
From smart home integration to professional installation, we tailor our service to fit your needs. Join the countless homeowners who trust Sloman's. Call 1-800-ALARM-ME today to find out more and secure your home with Sloman's Home Security. Sloman's Home Security, where your safety is our priority.
When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend
If you're on hold, hang in there.
To me, he's the best ever. So I want to get that out of the way.
Listen to Richie the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Join us for Moments of Scripture, hosted by Jan Coleman every Sunday morning from 6 to 6:30 a.m. We will read the Bible, pray, and offer blessings to all who listen in the name of our Lord and Savior. Moments of Scripture every Sunday at 6 a.m.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn Boyne, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights you've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. But the guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True.
Alrighty, 18 minutes after the hour, calls on stand by. You know, I just was noticing I'm wearing my Apple Watch, and it's the first time I've worn it actually in a couple weeks. I don't wear my Apple Watch too much. And I've lost so much weight, I've had to change what hole I put it in again I know this is not a time for a coast, but I got to tell you, I just noticed this. I've lost so much weight. I only have one hole left on the band. On my Apple Watch, I have the band that the watch comes with, and I'm on the next to the first hole. So I have gone up, I don't know, 2 or 3, I think maybe 2 holes in my watch band. Yeah, that's amazing. I've only got one more to, if I lose more weight, I might have to get the child's band for my Apple Watch because I've only got one hole left on my band. I just noticed that. That's because I just put it on this morning. All right, we're going to go to the phones. We're talking about this leak with this hardcore liberal reporter, and I'll take some of your calls first, and then I'll share maybe during the conversation or after the calls what I think very well may be really in play here. And what the truth is not even close to what's being reported right now. I can promise you that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's James.
Yeah, James.
From North Dakota.
Hey, James.
Hey.
You got to turn the volume down in the background of whatever device you're listening to me on because there's a delay. So it makes it difficult to have a conversation that way. That's okay. That's all right. As soon as you turn that down, come back. All right, now I can hear you. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just saying that journalist is full of shit.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. First call of the day. Is delay on, Mike? Did you check the delay? Okay. First thing you got to do is check the delay. I do agree with the caller. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We got to wait for the delay to rebuild. You guys, you cannot use that language on the radio, okay? While it may be true, you can't say that on the radio. He may call back and, sometimes people, I understand the excitement. The story that's being reported is there's no way it's true. First of all, as I'm waiting for the delay to rebuild, I'll just share some of my thoughts on what I think's in play here, and there's several possibilities. Those of you on hold, stand by while the delay rebuilds. This cabinet is the most brilliant cabinet of any president. If you watched that cabinet meeting yesterday, I mean, this is the most competent cabinet ever in the history of presidential cabinets. You would have to accept that the most brilliant people ever to be in a presidential cabinet, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Vice President J.D. Vance, and others are so stupid that they had a classified conversation about war plans and battle plans, and they mistakenly allowed a journalist in. There's just no way. And out of all the journalists to let in, why would they let in the one that reported the fake news story that President Trump called veterans who are soldiers who fell in battle losers and suckers? Out of all of them, out of every reporter, it just would happen to be that guy? That doesn't even pass what Steve calls the smile test. All right, let's see. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, this is Danielle from Michigan.
Hey, Danielle.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm not falling. I'm with you. I'm just not going to get distracted with all of this stuff that's going on right now. I don't believe it, and until I hear anything from Trump or Caroline Leavitt, I'm just not buying any of this, and I think it's just a big distraction.
No, I don't think it's this is a distraction. You're not interested in the story, I take it.
Well, I'm just not gonna. I just.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of people, if they're not interested in something, they call it a distraction. Like a lot of conservatives are talking about Snow White. I don't give a crap about the Snow White movie. You don't hear me talking about the Snow White movie. But if someone's talking about it, it's not a distraction. It's just they're interested in it, okay? No, this is a very important story because there's a couple possibilities here. One, there's a possibility that, first off, you got to ask yourself this. Does it even make sense that out of every reporter that they mistakenly let in, it's the suckers and losers guy that started that nonsense? Come on. So So you got to ask yourself a couple things. Is there someone in the circle of these people who put him in there to try to bring down the Trump administration? That's one possibility. Remember when President Trump had that call with Zelensky and that fat slob colonel? I don't know how you can be so fat and be an officer in the United States Army, but he reported Trump to the Inspector General. Remember that? So there's a lot of people that are involved in these conversations behind the scenes other than the named people. So did somebody else bring him in to try to harm the Trump administration? That's a possibility. Did Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and the team, are they running a psych op to root out and smoke out some spies within? That's a possibility. But the one thing that's not a possibility is that this team let some civilian in, and it just happened to be the most liberal Trump hater that started the suckers and losers lie, into a chat about something. That's not even credible.
I totally agree. I'd like to think that it's not going to be anything, bad on our part, and perhaps you've got a point of what they're trying to do. But yeah, of course I'm interested. I'm just.
And why was this Atlantic reporter even on the list of people you could add to this Signal chat? How did that even happen? So just come on. No, there's something about this. And you think this is the first time they had a conversation over this? No, there's something going on here. Much bigger. It is not a distraction. This is maybe the most important story of the last week or two.
Well, you've got a good point, Brian. I guess I had to call you up and to hear it from you, and I guess putting things in perspective, and maybe something good is going to come out of this, and maybe you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this.
All right. We certainly will see that. There's no doubt. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, what you just said, I couldn't add anything more. I mean, Brian, the truth, I think if anything, there's somebody on the inside trying to louse them up, because this is the most.
Like Vindman did. When these, I remember President Trump had a conversation on the way to England in his first term, and he said something negative about the prime minister. I think it was when they had that lady prime minister. And before he landed, it had leaked out because somebody from the NSA who listens in on these conversations leaked it to the press. So when you have these top officials, there's a lot of bureaucrats that are not happy with this administration that very well could have done something here. What do you think is the most likely scenario?
The leak, because it's a leak for somebody that listened in, because they definitely put this one reporter. Why did they just spread it to all of them? So, in other words, this went to that one reporter who they knew was going to try to louse up President Trump. I got to tell you, you mentioned earlier before you went on the air that the news on Fox was different because when you went on, it was Laura Ingraham. No, there was a major story last night while you were sleeping. On her show last night, they were repeating. They had a guy. Can I say what they had? They had a guy that was in one of the buildings. 29,000 employees don't.
Oh, and the Fox. Wait a second. We're talking about Fox. What we're talking about is, this morning I turned on Fox early in the morning on my way into the radio station because of this breaking news with this Pete Hegseth story to see what updates they might have had, and instead of their live news, they were rerunning Laura Ingraham from last night. So something happened at the Fox building? I missed this.
What happened with Laura Ingraham? Now, on her show last night, it was divulged there was a guy that worked for Doge that was in one of those major buildings with 29,000 employees for a week, and only 69 or 49 showed up for the whole week. And they gave the prices that they had to pay these people, including the cooks that were on the...
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I know that story. Okay, I thought some emergency happened. So you're saying they just reran it? I don't understand. Why would they rerun her show?
They reran a portion of that Doge thing.
Oh, so I tuned into a clip. They didn't rerun the whole show. I turned into a clip they were playing, and I just assumed and tuned away. Okay, that makes sense.
Happened, but that was a major story yesterday.
It's not the story.
No. And the other thing is, when I looked at your video when you were on US 1, I believe, in front of the Tesla dealership.
Yes.
That was I hate to say this, that was a bunch of Jewish people from a condominium. I could see it right they all were from one condominium. They grouped. I wonder what condominium that was.
There was actually there were several groups of people. There were some old geriatrics, okay, but there were also a lot of gays. And I parked, I took my Vespa, my MAGA scooter, and I parked at the Vespa dealer where I bought my Vespa, and it was like a block or two away from the protest. And a lot of the protesters were parking where I parked, and they were all gay guys that were coming out in pairs, couples. So you had gays, gay activists, and some old geriatrics from some condo. Yeah, but there were those people, they weren't bussed in. They came on individual vehicles. It was very hard to find parking. And oh my gosh, I mean, that one guy I thought for sure was going to clock me. I mean, he was the biggest, he was Andre the Giant size, that guy.
But you stood up to them, and your shirt, that shirt, everything you did, I mean, it was like, boy, did you trigger these people. I never seen anything quite like
I don't know how smart that was. I don't know how smart it was for me to do that. They were, yeah.
Do the hell out of them. They weren't going to hit you. But you just got right in their claw. You upset. I never seen so many people upset with one person.
It turned into a protest against me. It was very strange. Listen, when I went there in my MAGA hat with my Doe shirt on, I mean, I expected, an FU here or there. I mean, come on. But I didn't expect the stalkers. I didn't expect any of that. In fact, when I left, I did a live stream on YouTube before I left. One of the reasons I did that is because some of them were following me back to where I was parked, and I wanted to make sure they weren't going to follow me beyond that point. They were really crazy.
They cursed your mother. They called you Cuban, like Castro. I mean, I never seen it. And it was sticking signs in your face.
It was hilarious.
Really?
It was scary, though. It was scary.
I showed that to somebody last night. I was invited somewhere, and I said, I listen to this guy every morning, and I said, this is what went on. And they couldn't believe it. The guy was laughing. I mean, he said, this is incredible. Yeah, I mean, these people are fools. They are total fools. This is what we're up against. Fools.
Yeah. All right. I got to run. All right. Appreciate the call, Reggie. All right. So I'll get back. I'll play some of the audio on this Pete Hegseth story, but I do want to hear your thoughts and theories on it. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Great again.
You're gonna really love it.
It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott Shannon here on the Steve Kane Show with Amazing Brian. Just a reminder that at 10 this morning, we're back to the rock and roll music on the True Oldies channel.
From the All-Year Cooling Weather Center, South Florida's #1 choice for same-day AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
This Tuesday morning and throughout the day, expect heavy rain with a high of 78 degrees. Heavy rain with partly cloudy, low of 68 degrees. Wednesday throughout the day, high of 77 degrees and sunny. Wednesday night, low of 70 degrees.
Weather brought to you by All-Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All-Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
There's construction on Gateway Boulevard at Military Trail and Hypalexo Road at Jog Road. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line. Pound 250 keyword West Palm traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. BBKC is the only OTB location in Palm Beach County where you watch, wager, and win on incredible racing from top tracks in the country. This Saturday, see and bat the $1 million Florida Derby from Gulfstream. $1.5 million.
Oh, you guys, I made a new card for breaks for the stream. Let me show it to you guys. This is a good. I just thought this was a great picture of the president, and I thought, oh, that's such a great picture of President Trump because it was so unique. It was. You'll see. Here we go. That's when the president was watching the Houthi attack. I thought it was such a cool picture. If you're on hold, hang in there. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Donna from Jupiter. I'm calling to share my great experience with Jupiter Joe. My husband and I started listening to you a few years ago, and that's when we learned about Jupiter Joe Thomas. We're seniors with no pension and collect Social Security. All our investments were in stocks and IRAs until we heard about Jupiter Joe. Speaking of having your money work for you. So we got in touch with him, and he went above and beyond trying to locate all our diversifications. He answered all our questions clearly and returned every phone call. He recommended an annuity that enabled us to get a safe monthly income for life. So I just want to tell everyone, if you're in need of additional income,
If you're on hold, hang in there.
with the high cost of everything these days, please call Joe Thomas. It's no cost to you. He is so professional, knowledgeable, trustworthy, and you can put total confidence in him. My husband and I can't say enough good things about Jupiter Joe and his staff.
I want to thank you for your kind words for Jupiter Joe Thomas. If you want to call Joe Thomas, I'm going to give you his number. It's a no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online at jupiterjoe.com.
If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any.
We'll be back right after this.
Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 48 years on the air.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So we're talking about this fake news story of this leak. Let me play. This is the reporter. Now, keep in mind, this is the reporter that is the original reporter that reported that the president called those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country are suckers and losers. So it gives you a little credibility of who you're dealing with here. All right, let me pull this up. This is the reporter on CNN. They're just loving him on CNN. He's the Michael Avenatti of 2025 for CNN.
I want to start by getting your reaction to what we heard from Secretary Hegseth there, saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. he was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack.
Okay, now this come on, that's the fake news reporter right there. Okay, so out of all of the possibilities, my first guess would be, because we really don't know, we have this fake news reporter who says, oh, they're having this classified war battle conversation and somebody just invited me into the chat. Really? Come on. And, and then we have Pete Hegseth saying that this is not true. If I were to put money on it, guys, I don't bet, but if I were to put money on it, my guess is someone in the deep state invited him into the chat during that conversation. Because what we learned during the Trump first term is that when these upper level people in the White House are speaking under any circumstances, it is never private. There are always deep state people who are listening in, like Vindman on that phone call, the NSA on the Air Force One phone call with the first term. They leaked it. When President Trump flew to England and he had that private conversation with the Prime Minister, someone from the NSA heard that conversation, and it was in the media before Air Force One touched down in England. This is what they do. And the reason that they did that to President Trump in the first term was try to embarrass and disrupt the visit to the UK. And there's something going on here, too. You got to understand, this entire cabinet's bad news for them. I watched that cabinet meeting yesterday, which was just amazing. And, that cabinet meeting that President Trump had yesterday was the first time in history of any presidential administration that a cabinet meeting was held live on television like that. It's never been done before. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I've seen these things before. What you've seen in the past is the cabinet comes in there with the president. They sit down, they might take one or two questions, they wave to the camera, they leave, and then they have the meeting. What you've seen in the past was not the actual cabinet meeting. You saw the photo op. Then they kick everybody out and have the meeting. President Trump actually had the cabinet meeting live. And each member of the cabinet who was there reported on what they've done, what they're doing, and what's next. And it went through every single department that was there. I don't think Pete Hegseth was there. Remember, this happened yesterday. He was in Hawaii for some reason. I'm not sure why. So I don't think he was there yesterday. Pam Bondi was sitting on one side of the president, Marco Rubio on the other. But they all went through it. Even lower level cabinet members like transportation and everything, they all went, this is what we've done, this is what we are doing, and this is what we're working on next after we're done doing this. And a lot of it involved Doge cuts. Okay? So, one of the things you've got to understand is just because we're running the government now, we're not running the bureaucracy. And there's a bunch of people out there who are saboteurs. How many times have you heard me talk about over the years with board ops we've had that sabotage the show? And sometimes you'd never know it because for many years we were at a remote studio away from the radio station. And board ops would do all kinds of things, turning the volume down. The station would go off the air. They wouldn't call the engineer for 20, 30 minutes until I called them and told them, things like that. All kinds of things. With multiple board ops. I'm not talking about you, okay? Because I know I always get texts. But this happened with multiple liberals that we had working on the show. And people that work behind the scenes in any type of business or organization can do all kinds of sabotaging. As an example, President Trump had a rally during the COVID period. I can't remember where it was. I want to say St. Louis, but I could be wrong about that. It was the one where Herman Cain got COVID. And remember what happened? They had this never Trumper that was the manager of the venue. And he held up people getting in. So that when President Trump came in, most of the people had not been let in yet. So when he started speaking, it wasn't full. Remember that? And he was just doing a disruption for the media image. I remember that very clearly. It was insane. So, you know, behind the scenes people do all kinds of things all the time to sabotage people that they don't like for whatever reason. And the bureaucracy behind the scenes, there were for these high-level people to be having this level of conversation, everything they do is being monitored by deep state people that are in the bureaucracy of the different departments and agencies that they run. And any one of them could have hit that button and invited that Atlantic reporter in. That's not something you can just do by accident. You have to have his information to add him to this chat. So my first guess would be this is 100% sabotage, like when Vindman took the Zelensky phone call with President Trump and reported the commander-in-chief to the inspector general. Maybe the inspector general should look at your waistline, fatty. I mean, who could be in the service? And I'm not giving people that are overweight a hard time because I lost all this weight. Don't misunderstand me. But when I saw that guy walk into that hearing, it looked like a stolen valor guy. I've never seen someone in the service obese before in uniform like that. And he was wearing the wrong uniform on top of that. He wasn't even wearing the new uniform. He was wearing the old uniforms. Might as well, I mean, I couldn't believe. But remember how he did, and look what happened. Vindman got the president impeached over that. So people in the bureaucracy and behind the scenes could do sabotage on so many levels that there's no doubt in my mind this is 100% sabotage. All right, we'll take our last break of the first hour. Your calls most definitely are welcome on this at 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You know, I was listening to the bottom of the hour. One of our nice listeners called in and talked about our MyPillow sheets. And I want to remind you that the MyPillow sheets, just a huge discount on them with our promo code Kane at checkout. And not only that, it's free shipping on all orders over $75. But the Giza, 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, $40 off all sizes, and a whole bunch of new colors are in. But again, you can use our promo code site-wide. No matter what the special says, you can take advantage of it with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And remember, free shipping on all orders over $75. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
You want to live longer and feel better, and you can, with a personalized wellness roadmap to guide this next chapter of your life. You owe it to yourself. Amrit Ocean Resort is now open on Silver Island, and next generation luxury wellness resort converting Eastern principles and
I don't. Well, some government classified thing. You never know. It's not this. It's probably not the same version that we would be able to use.
bio-well energy flow and metabolic
Even
fitness.
the reporter should have. I don't know. I feel like even then it should still, even like their version if possible. should
Oh, yeah.
show who actually, like from their side. 'Cause, like,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something's happening with it.
Front Restaurant Tula, unlike anything else in Palm Beach County. Experience their 4-story wellness spa with endless treatments designed to detox and relax. Explore all available offers at amritocean.com. That's AMRITOcean.com.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus.
Tesh here with some intelligence for your retirement this time. When you're looking for a retirement advisor, you know trust and experience are two big qualities to look for. And as it turns out, my friend Jupiter Joe Thomas possesses both of these. Whether you're in retirement or looking to retire, I want you to give local expert Joe Thomas a call. Here's the number, 561-743-0999. Or, even simpler, you can go to jupiterjoe.com. Mention my name, John Tesh, and you'll receive a free copy of Joe's book, Retirement Know-It-All. Great book. Call 561-743-0999. Or remember, go to jupiterjoe.com. That's jupiterjoe.com.
It's that time of year again. On the line, Scott Messamore from Cut My Kilowatt. Scott's going to tell you all how he could save you boatloads of money for the rest of the time you live in your home off your electric bill.
My claim to fame is Radiant Barrier. I brought that to South Florida about 15 years ago, and I think I launched it with you guys on your show. It's the cheapest, easiest way to really create a game-changing situation in your house. You know, your attic gets super, super hot in the summer, and the Radiant Barrier just reflects all that energy that comes in through the roof. It shoots it right back out the roof, lowering the temperature in your attic 30 or 40 degrees, and also cutting off the radiant heat wave that heats up your roof and then heats up your whole entire house. It just turns that energy from the sun and shoots it right back out the roof. And it's just a game changer in people's house. It usually cuts their AC runtime in half, lowers their electric bill about 30 to 40%.
I'm going to give you Scott's number at Cut My Kilowatts. This is Scott's cell phone, 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500.
Hey, I want to say God bless us that Trump won this year.
Absolutely.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve.
All right, we're back, and those of you that are going on the cruise, don't forget to bring your MAGA gear, okay? Don't forget to bring your MAGA hats, your MAGA shirts, and your MAGA gear. I know I'm bringing mine, okay? You know, what the media focus on and get upset about, you know, is insane with what's going on. And we wake up this morning to just an incredibly just disturbing story. Bombs found inside a Tesla dealership in Texas. Multiple bombs. Listen to this. Multiple devices found inside a Tesla showroom in Austin, Texas on Monday morning as nationwide threats against Elon Musk continue. The Austin Police Department were called to the EV showroom just after 8 a.m. after an anonymous caller reported that there were bombs placed inside the Tesla building. Authorities rushed to the scene and located multiple suspicious devices at the Tesla dealership. The Austin Police Bomb Squad were also called. The devices were designed to cause large-scale explosive violence. This is according to the Bomb Squad. The devices were taken into police custody without incident. It's unclear who planted the devices. Yeah, I know who. Liberals, Democrats. And they don't know when they did it. No arrests have yet been made. Police are currently investigating the incident, which comes after a disturbing number of Teslas have been vandalized, burned, and targeted in attacks in recent weeks. Trump, who bought his own Cybertruck earlier this month. No, these reporters, you see how much they suck? He bought a car. He bought a car, not the Cybertruck. He did buy Kai Trump's Cybertruck. I've seen that reported, but that was like a long time ago. These reporters are just, they just suck. I mean, they just, you know, well, this is that game of telephone. They copy and paste each other's reporting so much, it changes over time. How many of these things have to happen? These fire bombings. They had it in Vegas. Now this is in Austin. I wonder if it's the same people, the same, you know, without question, there's a very well-organized group inside the liberal sphere of whatever that are behind all of this. I mean, you know, to have some type of bombs, whether they're homemade or whatever, I don't know, inside a dealership. You know, Tesla, there are cameras everywhere in these dealerships. Everywhere. There's cameras everywhere in America today. But certainly in these dealerships, especially now. So how could someone get in there with something like that? How's that even possible? I don't know, but I do know this. It's being reported that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are personally involved in this investigation, as is Pam Bondi, and also with this swatting that's going on of conservatives. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was swatted a few years ago, and it is a felony. People go to prison for swatting. And the person that swatted me got caught. I don't mess around with this. You know, when it happened to me, and it was over, I pursued it. When someone swats you, they're trying to get you killed. And I've talked about this a few times. I didn't talk about it for a long time after, until justice was done. But when I got swatted, there were 50 police officers in front of my house, some of them with AR-15s. All the guns were drawn and pointed at me. I almost passed out. If you ever have a gun pointed at you before, how about 50 of them? And I'm not exaggerating. They had sharpshooters behind my neighbors' houses. They came in my house with guns and did a sweep. They got me outside. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I've talked about it before. But when people do that, they go to prison when they get caught. And one of the guys that was recently swatted, I saw him early this morning. He's in personal conversations with Bongino and Kash Patel over this. So you've got the FBI director and deputy director. They're going to get these people. And they, when they do it, it is such a serious crime. People that in the past, they really weren't investigated that much. The incident with me, without getting in more details on it, something else happened that elevated the investigation. Well, and they got caught. And believe me, once it happens, you know, like I know it's happened to a lot of people, and you haven't seen much follow-up. Well, that's because the old people that were running, you know, these are federal crimes, and the feds weren't investigating this during the Biden era because they didn't care about the people that were getting swatted all the time. Now there's new people in charge, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi. And from what I understand, they're close to some arrest on this recent swatting. It is so dangerous. And, you know, a lot of these people, they sit around, they kind of laugh about it. They think it's funny. They'll think it's funny until the FBI arrests them and they go to the Supermax. You go to federal prison for swatting. It is so dangerous. People have been killed during swatting incidents. And that, you know, and you know, you got to know how to handle yourself, you know, but sometimes these cops get out of control. You know, the cops, I'm gonna tell you, this will piss some people off, but aren't the cops kind of stupid to fall for this? They have some fault in this. I mean, you know, they do. There's a lot of stupidity with the, sorry cops, okay? But come on. They keep falling for it. And I think they kind of enjoy it. They like to get all geared up and everything. But see, when I got swatted, the lead officer knew me, and then something else happened. But between the two factors, I was able to elevate it. And if it happened to me again, you would be in oh my goodness, you would be gone for years. And these people are going to get caught that are doing this now. And these arrests for the swatters and the people that play, you know, like these people who put these devices at that Texas Tesla dealership, they've got the cameras that they have are like 4K. They probably have 5K cameras at these Tesla dealerships. My goodness, they make cars that drive themselves. So even if they're wearing masks, they can track them down. And how they'll do that is there's not just cameras there, there's cameras all around, including street cameras, and they're able through when you have the FBI run by people that really arrest criminals, like is running it now, they have people go through the traffic cams in the area. And even if the people that went into the dealership with those devices are completely covered, they've got a lot of information about build, size, gender, and such, and they'll use that and go through the street cams in the area, and they'll find it. You know what they'll get? They'll get a car and a license plate number. And there will be high-profile arrest in all of these things. And not only will there be high-profile arrest, they're going to throw the book at them. You hear Pam Bondi. These people are going to get terrorism charges. Don't you understand? The SWATers and these Tesla people, domestic terrorism charges. And Pam Bondi's going for the death penalty on some cases. 1 hour down, 2 to go. We'll be right back.
104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the All-Year Cooling Weather Center, South Florida's #1 choice for same-day AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
This Tuesday morning and throughout the day, expect heavy rain with a high of 78 degrees. Tonight it'll be heavy rain and partly cloudy with a low of 68 degrees. Wednesday and throughout the day, high of 77 degrees and sunny. Wednesday night it'll mostly clear and low of 70 degrees.
Weather brought to you by All Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
We'll tap the brakes southbound on I-95 between Woolbright Road and Atlantic Avenue. There's construction Belvedere Road east to Parker Avenue. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line. Pound 250 keyword West Palm Traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. This March, go for the green in the poker room. Lucky high hand winners this week get a chance to win a piece of the $10,000 cash giveaway on Saturday. Plus, there's 65 tables of action with cash games, new and exciting tournaments, and bad beat jackpots. Our table game area features Ultimate Texas Hold'em and 3-card poker with just a $5 minimum 7 days a week. Check out all the ways to win at pbkennelclub.com.
Brian Craig here. When it comes time to get my blood work done, I don't have time to spend hours in the doctor's office or waiting hours in one of those big labs. That's why I go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs for all of my lab work. Their techs are highly skilled and professional, and their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest on lab work you'll find anywhere. Appointments aren't necessary. Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not needed either. I'm in and out in 15 minutes or less. I get the results the next day in my email box, and they also send it to my doctor. There's lots of Any Lab Test Nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalwood Plaza. That's where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7, 441. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call Any Lab Test Now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
This is John from Lighthouse Medical Center. We've been able to help a lot of patients. We want to be able to help you with your neuropathy issues as well. You have numbness, burning, pain, tingling, lack of sleep, or balance issues. Please come see us and let us help you with that problem. There's hope out there for you. We've had thousands of patients come through Lighthouse Medical Center. Being able to see the quality improve in their life, being able to help them and their family has been a blessing to us and a blessing to them. Call for a free consultation with us today. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642.
Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire in Margate on both new and used tires. New tires as low as $70 a tire. That's out the door and on the road, because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire or mount the tire. They have thousands of used tires in stock too, starting at just $30. Call for a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All right, we're back. If you're on hold, stand by. Just one last thing on these swatters. Somebody in our chat room during the break said most swatters don't get caught. No, this is what these idiots don't understand. In the last 4 years, with this senile old coot Joe Biden and his corrupt people around him, they didn't investigate the swatters. I don't want to get into how they do it, but it's not usually the people next door to you. It's in other states. So it's federal, and local law enforcement typically don't have the resources to investigate these things. The feds do. And the feds under Biden were allowing it to happen because they wanted the people, they hated the people that were getting swatted. Now the swatting victims are running the show, the Bonginos and the Cash Patels. So they're, for the first time, they're investigating, and it's being followed up on. So believe me, justice will be done. And you know what you're going to find when they get these swatters? You know what you're going to find? Loser gamer kids. That's what you're going to find. Loser gamer kids from Twitch and stuff like that, who think, it's funny, until they're arrested as domestic terrorists and charged as adults. They're gonna be shocked. All right, now these bombs that were found at the Tesla dealership in Austin, and after the one in Vegas was firebombed last week. I mean, this is nuts. And Elon was in the cabinet meeting. Did you see this yesterday? He was actually sitting at the table. At the first cabinet meeting, he was standing up in the corner. This time, he actually had a seat at the table with a nameplate. It didn't have a job title. It just said Elon Musk. Elon doesn't need any. He doesn't need any titles underneath. I had it queued up. I was going to play what he said. Let me cue this up, because what Elon Musk talked about and brought up is amazing. I mean, who would be against what Elon Musk is doing? Hold on, I lost the audio. I'll cue it up in a bit and I'll play it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, hey, Doug.
Yeah. And, you know, it's amazing that this Atlantic person who's lying, they should send the marshals down or the Secret Service, pick them up, bring them in and question them, find out who gave them this information, if it's really true or not. And if it is, we find out who's leaking this stuff all over from the White House. It's not just
oh, you're talking about the Atlantic reporter with the Pete Hegseth chat. There is no way that was some mistake by the Trump team to let that guy in that chat. Someone set them up. Someone in the bureaucracy and the deep state invited that guy. That's how it. Come on.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's why they need to bring him in and question him, find out what's the real story. Put some scare into this guy. Maybe he'll stop the nonsense. And the other thing about the Tesla, you know, these liberals, all they ever say is, "Oh, Elon Musk is miserable," but they never say what they don't like about him. Other than, you know, what is he doing that's wrong? You know, all he wants to do is help himself. I said, help himself. The guy's the richest man in the world. What the?
You know, look at what Elon Musk is doing. He is the financial. He's still the richest man in the world, even with the stocks going down. But he is sacrificing a lot. He has he has an appreciation for this country that not all Americans do, and it's because he's from another country and is a naturalized U.S. citizen. And a lot of naturalized U.S. citizens are patriots on overload. I mean, they're to the nth degree. And I mean, look at what he's given up financially for his company over this, right? That's one. Second, I mean, look at what he's done. They're planting bombs at his facilities. So he's also taking a lot of personal risk. And the clip I was going to play, I don't have it queued up, but he in the cabinet meeting yesterday, he was talking about how they found those small business loans for children. As they were like babies getting loans, 9-year-olds, infants getting loans from the Small Business Administration. It's 100%. He's uncovering fraud.
Yeah, exactly. And ask a liberal, so what is he doing that's wrong? Oh, he's just a Nazi. They'll never say anything because there's nothing you can say. I can say that the guy's doing great work, finding all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Robbing that guy.
Well, there was someone in our live chat had said to me, I was doing sometimes if you guys follow me on YouTube, which you all should, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, oftentimes I do before the show in the morning, I'll do a live stream on YouTube, kind of like a little sneak peek of what I'm going to be talking about that day. And I was talking about this Pete Hegseth thing, and someone said, "Oh, blind allegiance is, that's all of us, blind allegiance, Well, what about blind disloyalty?" I said to them, blind disloyalty. Those idiots that are opposing Elon Musk. I understand why the government people are, because he's taking their money. But these rank and file idiot Democrats around the country, as an example, in the cabinet meeting yesterday, by the way, thanks for the call, Doug. In the cabinet meeting yesterday, was it Zeldin? I can't remember which member of the cabinet brought this one up. But Elon Musk found out about the $2 billion with a B that was being sent to Stacey Abrams. Right? And one of the cabinet members yesterday talked about this. Did you see this? They did after Doge found out about it, they did an investigation. She had this money laundering operation going. I think they said was it with pastors? Where these different pastors down the line, she'd get the $2 billion, and then these other people would get their cut. That's probably how they got the black churches out there endorsing Democrats all the time. But they stopped the $2 billion going to Stacey Abrams. They stopped it. She's not getting the $2 billion now. And if she got any of it, they're going to take it back. Now, this was Burgum, the Interior Secretary, in the cabinet meeting yesterday. This is amazing. Listen to this. This blew my mind what he found.
Mr. President, there was a federal consulting group, which was a group inside of Interior, but it was managing contracts from many different agencies that flowed through here. One of those contracts was to do surveys of individuals. $830 million for surveys. And so part of the question was, hey, could we actually see the surveys? And then the surveys came back, and a survey was like 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with 10 questions that anyone's child in junior high could have put together, or AI could have done for free. $830 million. So that's one that we've stopped. And that contract was going out after you were inaugurated, sir. So it was jumping.
It's a fraud.
Yep.
It's a fraud.
Okay, so $830 million. Can we round that up to $1 billion? I mean, it's almost $1 billion. $830 million, almost $1 billion. I remember aircraft carriers used to cost $1 billion. The first space shuttle was $2 billion. So that just to put some perspective on where that money goes. So they give him the survey, and it's on one sheet of paper. This isn't like the Lewis and Clark expedition here. And you heard the president background. Fraud. All that the cabinet are doing, and Doge and Elon Musk are finding fraud. And these people in the government, that's why they're all rich. There's so much fraud. One of them, let me see if I can pull this one up, because this one, I might have to pull some of these up during the break. There was one yesterday. Okay, that was the surveys. Okay, listen to this one. This one is totally insane. This was all in the cabinet meeting yesterday.
Let me just add to that, and thank you. We just had a wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco.
Okay, so yeah, you heard, how much money was it?
Wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco.
Okay, so I want you to think about this. $300,000 for queer and transgendered farmers in San Francisco. How many farms are in the city of San Francisco? How can you have a farm in the city of San Francisco? Maybe a pot farm in your closet. And, there's no farms in the city of San Francisco. Okay? And if there were, what percentage of them would be transgender? She's not done. I mean, this is nuts.
Let me just add to that, and thank you. We just had a wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York, again, educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure.
Okay, so then they had another one in New York for transgendered food injustice, whatever that means.
Sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that. We canceled a $600,000 contract out of Louisiana that was studying the menstrual cycles of transgender men, a $600,000 contract. We canceled another contract out of a university in the middle of the country that focused on getting more diversity, equity, and inclusion into our pest management industry. Again, these are nonsensical. It makes zero sense to use taxpayer dollars to fund these. I know these are just a few.
Okay, she cut federal funding studying men's periods. Here's a study. Men do not have a menstrual cycle. That's it. Can you give me 300,000? I'll do it for 150,000. I'll write it down on a piece of paper. The level of fraud within our government, and this was just a couple of things from the cabinet meeting yesterday, right? Giving newborn babies small business loans, 9-year-old small business loans, 11-year-old small business loans. Transgendered farmers in San Francisco, $300,000. There's no farms in the city of San Francisco. Maybe a Bitcoin farm in someone's house. That's about it. Food injustice in New York. I don't even understand what that means. Food injustice? Do you? What does that mean? I mean, come on. There was a lot of talk a few weeks ago that there's these 80-20 issues, meaning 80% of the people support, 20 don't, and the Democrats are taking the 20%. These are 99 to 1% issues. There's no other There's no argument in favor of giving infants and 9-year-olds millions of dollars in small business administration loans, or transgendered farmers in the city of San Francisco that's a concrete jungle with no farms, and all these other things, or almost $1 billion for surveys that don't exist. And I remember when Reagan was president, they were reporting on some government waste in the mainstream media. Remember this? $1,200 for a hammer, $400 for a toilet seat. Remember those stories? I think back in the Reagan administration, when they were paying $1,200 for hammers and $400 for toilet seats, that they were just testing it to see how they could get away with it, if they could get away with it. And they did. Even though it was reported, they got away with it, and they upped it. I mean, think about this. To give Stacey Abrams $2 billion with a B, for what? And no one was even worried that there would be anyone caught or there would be any accountability. So who's opposed to this? And it's less than 1% would be opposed to that. And I'll say this before we break. I know we're late for the break, but this cabinet meeting, this was a very strange thing because I watched this cabinet meeting online. It aired on television 45 minutes after. And they played the whole thing on Fox, and it said moments ago. It was 45 minutes after. Why are they doing that? And I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this, because I watch most of what I consume so far as news online. But it's been an ongoing thing in Trump's second term when there's an event at the White House, a cabinet meeting, a meeting with someone, and the president's talking. It's on television 30, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour later, and it's presented as if it's kind of live. And many times I've already seen it, and it's over by the time they have it on television. And then they show it in its entirety, not in sound bites, as if it's happening now. Why are they doing that? Does anyone know? Why are they doing that? Are they doing it so they have some type of editorial control, like they can cut out of it? Because, you know, a lot of the media, these things that came up in the cabinet meeting yesterday, they don't want the public to know about it. All right, let's take our first break of the second hour. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott, the DJ here at the True Oldies Channel, smack dab in the middle of the Steve Kane Show with Brian, and a reminder that we're back to the rock and roll oldies at 10 a.m. this morning, right here on the True Oldies Channel.
This sales event will be held at one location only, City Kia of Greater Orlando, just off the Florida Turnpike. Drive a little, save a lot.
Whoa, make that switch. Make that switch to City Kia.
The City Kia Orlando 500 is back bigger than ever. It's a race for the record. Orlando 500. Save up to $15,000 on select new City Kias. Orlando 500. Last year, over 5,000 customers made the switch to City Kia, and you can too. Lower your payment today. Rates as low as 0%. New Kia Sportage from only $189 a month. Triple your tax return up to $5,000. Orlando 500. All offers and terms on select models. This sales event will be held at one location only, City Kia of Greater Orlando, just off the Florida Turnpike. Drive a little, save a lot. It's the City Kia Orlando 500. Details at citykia.com.
Whoa, make that switch. Make that switch to City Kia. To City Kia.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Linda Green, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. But the guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on, and it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
okay.
Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Hi folks, Anita Mitchell here. Please join me on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for What's Your Story with Anita Mitchell. Join me this Tuesday at 7 p.m. for What's Your Story with Anita Mitchell. That's on the True Oldies station.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen to the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, here in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.
All right, we are back. Way late. I took that last break way too late. This will be a short segment. My apologies. Okay, we've got an update on the chat room leak with this Atlantic reporter. And I'm going to tell you, until Trump fires someone or reprimands someone, I'm sticking with them because there's something just stinks about it. Here's the update. White House insiders, these anonymous sources, come on, White House insiders. What does that mean? Some liberal jerk that's in the White House press corps, are they a White House insider? Or do they just make it up that they, see, the press have this racket going. All their sources are confidential, so who knows that they even have sources? They can just make things up and say, sources say. White House insiders have vented their anger at National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, with one reportedly calling him an effing idiot after it emerged that he added a prominent journalist to a secret group chat revealing highly sensitive war plans. Everyone in the White House can agree on one thing: Mike Waltz is an effing idiot, says the source, identified as a person close to the White House, to Politico. See, this whole thing stinks. This whole thing stinks. They're trying to get rid of Waltz. Okay, remember Politico? Politico's reporting this, right? Politico could very well be going out of business because they were getting millions, tens of millions of dollars a year from USAID. Remember that? Politico has been pretty much funded completely by their sugar daddies at USAID. And they got cut off. Remember? The fake subscriptions to the Politico and all that. And what we found through the exposure of USAID is that USAID was a deep state organization, probably CIA. So Politico is the source of this? I don't buy this. I'm sticking with Pete Hegseth. I'm sticking with Mike Waltz until Trump comes out and says Mike Waltz is an effing idiot and he's fired. Then I'll change my tune. But something stinks about this. This isn't Ducey at Fox. This isn't Breitbart. This is Politico. Politico, remember Politico couldn't make payroll because USAID's money got cut off. And they're the source? And that's not even revealed in this reporting. You don't think they have an axe to grind? The Atlantic magazine's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg revealed yesterday that he was invited by Waltz to join a chat on the encrypted app Signal entitled Houthi PC Small Group. Now, the update to the story is that it's Politico. I'm telling you, alarms are going off. Alarms are going off. And there is no way that anyone in the cabinet got any sleep last night. They've been on this all night. I hope that they have a way to find out who added this guy in. Why would Mike Waltz add this guy from the Atlantic in any conversation? Why did he have his email address? Come on. Why is it Politico that's the source of this information? There's two sources. Politico, that couldn't make payroll because the USAID money got cut off forever. I wondered how Politico was surviving all these years. I couldn't understand. And all these news organizations that have these subscription models, I don't know anyone that subscribes to any of this stuff. Now we know. And then The Atlantic. And it's the editor of The Atlantic who was the first person to report one of the biggest lies ever told about Trump, and that's that he referred to fallen servicemen as suckers and losers. Remember that? So those are the two sources of this story? No, I'm sorry. You know, and it's going to become, and now if Trump comes out today and throws Mike Waltz under the bus, then, okay. But he hasn't done it yet. At this point, blaming Mike Waltz, which is what they want us to do, they probably want to get rid of him so they can get somebody in that they control to be the national security advisor. Because, you know, one thing that Trump doesn't have in the cabinet that he had last time? No spies. No spies. Half the cabinet, maybe more, were leaking everything last time. Now we have a cabinet of loyalists. Who in that cabinet is talking to Politico? Who in that cabinet is talking to The Atlantic? I don't buy it. Are they talking to HuffPost too and Drudge? I don't think so. CNN, Rachel Maddow's team, give me a break. You know, we're really going to tell, there's some of these moments that you find out who's MAGA and who's fake MAGA. Now again, if Trump comes out and throws Mike Waltz under the bus, even if, I want to check Truth Social during the break. Because you know Trump's all over this. He must be pissed, okay? I want to track Truth Social during the bottom of the hour break and find out what the president said. If while I've been talking, he threw Mike Waltz under the bus, I'll retract it in everything I just said. But the sourcing of this is, come on. Politico, after the Trump administration just cut all their money and they couldn't make payroll, probably can't pay rent. I don't know how they're going to pay to keep their servers up. And then The Atlantic with the suckers and losers story that they are the originator of. This is they have the credibility of it's like Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid reporting this. And there's going to be a lot of people like me who are going to start saying, "Oh, Waltz has got to go, got to go, got to go." Only if Trump says so. All right. Let's take our break for the bottom. I'm Brian. It is Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott Shannon here on the Steve Kane Show with Amazing Brian. Just a reminder that at 10 this morning, we're back to the rock and roll music on the True Oldies channel.
From the All-Year Cooling Weather Center, South Florida's #1 choice for same-day AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
This Tuesday morning and throughout the day, expect heavy rain with a high of 78 degrees. Tonight it'll be heavy rain, then partly cloudy with a low of 68 degrees. Wednesday and throughout the day, high of 77 degrees and sunny. Wednesday night it'll be mostly clear, low of 70 degrees.
Weather brought to you by All-Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All-Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
There's a backup on the Turnpike northbound approaching Beeline Highway. It's stop and go southbound I-95, Woolbright Road to Atlantic Avenue. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250 keyword West Palm traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is the only OTB location in Palm Beach County where you watch, wager, and win on incredible racing from top tracks in the country. This Saturday, see and bet the $1 million Florida Derby from Gulfstream, $1.5 million Arkansas Derby, and much more. And the paddock has Florida Derby tickets with great food and over 140 HD TVs and 3 big screens to catch all the racing and sports action. For more information, go to pbkennelclub.com.
My name is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. Over the years, I've treated thousands and thousands of patients from bursitis, tendonitis, sciatica, stenosis, neuropathy, tears, post-surgery, pre-surgery, herniated disc, gout, bone on bone. If you can name the pain, most likely I've treated over the years. Most of my practice is laser with robotic lasers. They're robots which rotates constantly around the area, where most lasers do not do that. So If you want to come in for a free consultation, as always here, welcome at Appleton Chiropractic. I'm here 6 days a week. I personally do all the treatment. You can bring your MRIs, you can bring your x-rays, you can bring your CAT scans, whatever you have to bring for me to look at, I would do that free of charge.
Call Dr. Appleton right now for that free consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710.
Oh my goodness.
AppletonChiro.com.
Oh my goodness. Look at what we're finding out, who owns the Atlantic. Holy crap. If you're on hold, hang in there.
My claim to fame is Radiant Barrier. I brought that to South Florida 15 years ago, and I think I launched it with you guys on your show. It's the cheapest, easiest way to really create a game-changing situation in your house. You know, your attic gets super, super hot in the summer, and the Radiant Barrier just reflects all that.
Oh my goodness.
It shoots it right back out the roof, lowering the temperature of your attic 30 or 40 degrees, and also cutting off the radiant heat wave that heats up your roof and then heats up your whole entire house. It just turns that.
Look at who owns the Atlantic.
Right back out the roof, and it's just a game changer in people's house. It usually cuts their AC runtime in half, lowers the electric bill about 30 to 40%.
I'm going to give you Scott's number and cut my kilowatts. This is Scott's cell phone, 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500.
Hey, I want to say God bless us that Trump won this year.
Absolutely.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. 48 years.
All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. Okay, so the Atlantic, I have not looked at the Atlantic, and I'm not kidding, about 15 years, maybe longer. It's always been a terminally boring publication. I mean, it's just, you know. When I read something online, I want to read it quick. I don't want to read something boring. And I just found this out during the break. Do you know who owns the Atlantic? Maybe you all do. I don't follow the Atlantic. Steve Jobs' widow owns the Atlantic. And there's a photograph of her with Giselle Maxwell hanging out in their bikinis together. So we've got Steve Jobs' widow with her bestie, Giselle Maxwell. That's who owns the Atlantic. Do you think she's happy that hundreds of millions of dollars in manufacturing to America because of he had that meeting with Trump? I don't think so. Oh my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jack, I think that
Here we go.
the Atlantic should be sued by the Trump administration for slander.
Well, you gotta prove what happened first. So
If this is incorrect information, they need to be sued.
No. Hold on. No. There's a psychops operation going on here. It is true that the reporter was included in the chat. That's a fact. But the question is, how did that happen? Do you think Mike Waltz just invited this guy who works for Giselle Maxwell's best buddy? Let me bring in Giselle's best buddy's publication into this chat. Come on. No, there's some.
This is a lot worse than, and I'm surprised you didn't bring it up. This is a lot worse than Hillary's emails, if this is true.
Well, listen. I checked True Social during the break. President Trump has not commented on this yet, which means that he has them investigating it. He's getting to the bottom of this because he's got to be ticked. He was asked about it yesterday, and He hadn't been briefed about it yet. So when they asked him about it, he didn't know anything about it yet because he hadn't been briefed. He was very busy yesterday. But he knows about it now.
Do you think the conversation that allegedly was recorded with the vice president was a deep fake or...
No, it happened. It happened. But...
I'm talking about the previous audio recording about J.D. Dixon talking about him having a disagreement with...
The disagreement about Elon Musk was in the Signal conversation, is my understanding, in the chat.
Recording that came out maybe a few days ago that
I heard reporting of such a thing, but I didn't hear the audio. And by the way, thanks for the call. You know, this is where, let me tell you, for Trump not to comment on this so many hours later, they are all over this. And I know they're thinking like I'm thinking. They gotta be. Who let this guy in the chat? Who let this guy in the chat? And how did they blame Mike Waltz for it? Okay? Who has access to that on their staffs? These are the things they're looking at right now. They probably have tech guys looking at it, but it's hard. Who do they? I guess Elon's got top tech guys. Maybe they can trust Elon's guys to look into it. Certainly can't trust the intelligence agencies to look into it. And they're interviewing witnesses probably as to what's going on here. You know, it's really amazing what Trump has done. You know, the whole country has just been red-pilled over the last 4 years by it's like when those Kennedy files came out, a lot of people, there's nothing to see here. No, there was a lot to see in what we already know about those Kennedy files. And the main takeaway from the Kennedy files is that all the conspiracies about Kennedy were true. That the CIA killed Kennedy. That's what those files said. And people have suspected that for my whole life. And it confirmed that. And people understand that. You know, last week I was talking about the Russian dossier because that girl that works for Bannon took Christopher Steele to the woodshed. I played that audio on the show. That was a deep state op against Trump. You don't think this is a deep state op against Trump? You know, would just the fact that they're changing everything because, you know, he's back in office disrupts them enough. But what President Trump has done that's turned the world upside down many times in the last 8 weeks is cutting off this money. Cutting off the USAID and the other things they've exposed. Because USAID is how the deep state was running everything. And cutting off that money is it's huge. You take away someone's money, you think they just sit around and say, oh, well, you know, we'll have a new president in 4 years? No. They're looking to cause dissent. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Last time I called, you had one fact correct, but your conclusions were wrong. I suggest you contact a professor of logic who can teach you inductive reasoning, and maybe someday you may be able to defeat me in debate. Good luck.
And then he hangs up. But he's the debate expert. You know who that guy? That was the guy yesterday that called in about the tariffs. I'm pretty sure that's who. Remember that guy? He called in. He was talking about these tariffs. And I would say, I don't remember the call too clearly. I remember you calling in about the tariffs. I must have won the debate if 24 hours later it's still on your mind. Okay? If you would have won that debate, you'd be feeling good. And you'd sit around here and want to talk and gloat as opposed to calling in and say, you can't debate, and then good luck, hang up. And who did he say? I need to call a college professor College professors are the dumbest people there are, okay? Yeah, please. All right, now, I got to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I mentioned in the first hour, I'm wearing my Apple Watch, which I don't wear very often. And I'm wearing my Apple Watch today for the first time in a couple of weeks. And I've lost so much weight, my wrist has shrunk a lot. For the second time, I had to change the hole on my watch band. Now, the watch band on my Apple Watch is the black band that the watch comes with. Okay, you know, a lot of people get fancy bands and everything. I think the one that it comes with is fine and it's comfortable. I am on the... I've got only one more hole left in my watch band on my Apple Watch. My wrist has shrunk where I used to be on the 4th hole. Now I'm on the 2nd hole on the watch band. So if I continue to lose weight, I think I might have to go and get a children. Do they have children's watch bands at Apple? You know, I'm telling you guys, you know, those of you guys that are watching me online, I'll show you guys. I can't believe this. And I'm in shock. I am in total shock. And I didn't notice it until I got here because I just put the watch on this morning and I just put it on and okay, it fits, I got it on. I didn't pay attention to what hole I had it in. Whoever pays attention to that. And then I'm sitting here looking at my pay and I look down and I was like, whoa, isn't that amazing? And it's all because of Coastal Weight Loss Secret and Dr. Zuckerman over there. It's amazing. And remember, I'm not eating any strange foods. I'm eating foods that I would normally eat. And you guys, you know, I am the pickiest eater that you've ever met in your life. Okay? I don't talk about it too much because it's embarrassing. If you knew the stuff that I will not eat, you would be in shock. Or the foods I've never eaten because I just won't go anywhere near them, or common foods that you guys eat all the time. You know, I give an example. I've never eaten relish or mayonnaise in my life, or mustard. Okay, I'm a very picky eater. Deviled eggs, never had deviled eggs. I've never had egg salad. I've never eaten tuna fish out of a can. Okay, now tuna, if I go to a restaurant and get a tuna, I'll eat the tuna, but out of a can, no, I won't eat that. So, and that's just a couple of things, okay? I mean, I am such a picky eater. And when I first went over there and met with Dr. Zuckerman at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I was a little nervous because I thought, oh man, with the foods that I just will not eat because I'm such a picky eater, what's going to happen? And here I am, I'm eating foods I would normally eat. I'm doing zero exercise, and I'm not taking any medications. Okay, I'm not taking Ozempic or any of that stuff. People ask me that a lot. No. And did I mention zero exercise? No exercise, unless you count walking to the car from the door. That's it. Walking to and from my car in the driveway. That's it. No exercise. And I've only got one hole left on my Apple Watch band. That's amazing. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Men, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to feel old. At the Bio Station West LA, Dr. Mitch Matez, an expert in hormone replacement therapy, is here to help you reclaim your youth. Hormone replacement therapy is all natural and can restore your hormones to where they were in your 20s. You'll feel younger, have more energy, and even get your sex drive back. And for women, hormone replacement pellet therapy can completely stop and reverse the signs and symptoms of menopause. No more mood swings, better sleep, and no more night sweats. Call Dr. Matez for a free consultation today at 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893.
Hi, this is Maureen Cohen from Nutrition World Palm Beach Gardens, your locally owned, family-run health food store, featuring one of the largest selections of natural products in the area. From
Can you call Barry now?
body care to naturopathic.
Yeah, now. He's got to do it now.
Of only the top quality brands that you've come to trust. One of those brands is Terry Naturally. Our friend Terry is hosting channel. Terry will share the latest on health and nutrition as he helps us learn how to achieve good health with natural ingredients, and covers important topics like heart health, weight loss, balancing hormones, pain relief, inflammation, and so many others. So listen here to the True Oldies channel every Saturday at 6 a.m. for Terry Talks Nutrition, and stop by Nutrition World, open 7 days a week. We're at the northeast corner of PGA Boulevard on Prosperity Farms Road and the Carmines Market Plaza. You can visit nutritionworld.com or call or text us at 561-626-4377. That's 626-4377.
Yeah, do the Laporta and My Pillow and the Lighthouse Medical. Yeah.
Share his experience with Dr. Gupta.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend this guy. To me, he's the best ever. So I'm going to give him away.
Listen to Richie the bus driver. Go see Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, we are back, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you today?
Great. What do you have for us this morning?
Well, we're excited. We have another workshop this morning at Spanish River Library. We do have some room available. We're expecting north of 20 to 25 people, but it's, as you know, Brian, you were there. It's a pretty big room. So anyway, we are going to be discussing all the things that you need to know about estate planning for you and your family. You know, questions will be answered such as, do I need a will? Do I need a trust? What's a power of attorney? What is probate and how do I avoid it? What do I need to do to make sure that I don't run out of money during my lifetime? And what do I need to do now to set things up so I could qualify or your spouse could qualify for Medicaid benefits, even if you have too much income and too much in assets? All of those questions and much more are going to be addressed and answered at the workshop. And so we do these every 2 weeks. So I realize it's a couple hours away, so a lot of people listening may not be able to make it today, but we do them every 2 weeks. So you could just check on our website and go to events, and you'll be able to see when the next one is. So you can
No, it's not.
You can join us. It's a free workshop, and I believe you'll learn a lot. Get a lot of good information that will help you and your family plan for the future.
Yeah, it's very informative, and having talked to so many listeners over the years that have become clients of the Siegel Law Group, there's a common theme with everyone that I've met, and they all say a variation of the same thing. A weight has been lifted off of their shoulders. They worry about their spouse, they worry about their kids, they worry about their grandkids, they worry about themselves, and everything is taken care of. Is there anybody at the office that they could call this morning if they want to come, Barry, or will everybody be there?
Everybody will be there by 8:30.
Okay, so let me... Okay, so I'll give the Siegel Law Group number, and you guys, if you're interested in going today, call. But if you can't make today, go to the next one. All right. The number's toll free 855-FLA 3782 855-FLA 3782, and online SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel. We'll talk later in the week. All right, take care. You know, and back to this story of the chat. I'm sorry. I'm sticking with this story. I know a lot of people have been telling me all morning in the chat. Oh, move on. There's the distraction. Don't talk. No. I want to know what happened here. I want to know what happened. Is this a deep state op against President Trump? You know, this lawfare's not. You know this. I was talking about that judge yesterday that is making all these rulings to stop the deportations of the murderers and rapists. Comes out now that he's a FISA judge, and he was put on the FISA court by Chief Justice John Roberts, and he's also a member of that secret society, that Eyes Wide Shut judge society that Roberts has with these federal judges. There is a lawfare and there is a very well coordinated nationwide campaign against the administration. These attacks, I was telling you yesterday about the Tesla protest, okay? Now this shows you conspiracy. So I went to the one on Saturday, right? I was talking about this yesterday in Fort Lauderdale. And I know a lot of you have seen the video, okay? I mean, it's had like 85,000 views on that video of me at the Tesla event. So I know a lot of you have seen it. You hear them chanting, hey, hey, ho, ho, we're a bunch of liberal idiots. When I got home and I uploaded that video online, I started seeing other protests at other Tesla dealerships around America. I told you this yesterday. And they were doing the same chants that they were doing in Fort Lauderdale. What does that tell you? There's organization. Someone is organizing these protests. Now, these old timers, these old geezers, and these washed up gay activists that don't know that gay rights have all been achieved, that were there saying, hands off our Social Security and all this stuff. Okay, they're useful idiots. But I remember the first Trump rally I went to was in Boca. And it was out west, and I went to it, and it was the first Trump rally I went to. And I got there hours early, and I had to go home and get something. I forgot something, and I did, because it was in Boca. It wasn't too far, and I left. And I went out to the parking lot to my car, and everybody was inside. And what did I see? I saw, and I talked about this at the time, I saw some Black Lives Matter people in the parking lot that were organizing how they were going to protest. One of them even had like those Muslim Arafat scarves on, and there was someone who had a clipboard who was talking to the Black Lives Matter people, and he was a white guy he looked kind of like Ben Shapiro without the yarmulke. I mean, he was like a white guy in khakis, and he had a clipboard. And I thought, well, Black Lives, these black activists here they're fake. These black activists are fake, whoever they are, because who's this white guy telling them what to do? And then we find out that, because of my experience, we find out that there's something we've suspected, but I think I've proven it by seeing this. When they're doing the same chant in Fort Lauderdale that they're doing in New York on the same day, and they're doing the chants in the same rotation, like a playlist on a radio station, that shows coordination, leadership. You see how they have the judges organized against President Trump. You see now, there was a story today that they found bombs inside of a Tesla dealership in Austin, Texas. The bomb squad came in and they got how did someone get them in there? How'd they get bombs and how'd they get them in there? All of these things that are going on is a coordinated effort against the president and his administration to try to stop them. And it's a small group because President Trump won all the battleground states. He won the popular vote. So why should we accept that what's going on with this chat with Tulsi, and look who it involves. Not just Mike Waltz, it involves Pete Hegseth, the vice president, right? Tulsi Gabbard. And, the vice president, if you notice, the second lady is going to Greenland, which is very unusual for the vice president's wife to do anything, right? And what I think is going on there is that you heard Trump talking about Greenland yesterday. They are very serious about Greenland, acquiring Greenland, very serious. Acquiring a new territory like that has not happened in anyone's lifetime. We have not acquired new territory in over 100 years, okay, in this country. Not anything meaningful that I know of. It's a multi-year process to acquire Greenland. And I believe that the reason that J.D. Vance's wife is going to Greenland is it's a little bit of foreshadowing that JD plans on finishing that in his term when he becomes the second MAGA president, okay? So there's a lot going on here. And there's a lot of actions to try to stop them. So why would this not be an effort to discredit the administration, JD, Pete Hegseth, who's just discharging all the trans service people? Come on. Something stinks here. Now, I want to tell you guys about the free doorbell camera offer from Slomin's. No matter where you're located, take advantage of this. You can have a free doorbell camera that connects to your cell phone with the installation of your Slomin's Shield. Slomin's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for your doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin's Shield. It'll change your life. It's so convenient to have it, too, to never have to get up and see who's at the door ever again. You don't have to peek out the window shades to see who's there. Oh, then they see you, then you feel embarrassed or obligated. No matter where you are in the world, you get a notification on your cell phone when there's movement in front of your house. Give them a call, 1-800-ALARM-ME. 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. My name's Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back right after this.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and Heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the All-Year Cooling Weather Center, South Florida's #1 choice for same-day AC service and installation. Here's your oldies forecast.
This Tuesday morning and throughout the day, expect heavy rain with a high of 78 degrees. Tonight it'll be heavy rain, then partly cloudy with a low of 68 degrees. Wednesday and throughout the day, high of 77 degrees and sunny. Wednesday night it'll mostly clear and low of 70 degrees.
Weather brought to you by All Year Cooling. Enjoy free AC replacement estimates along with same-day service and installation. Visit allyearcooling.com to schedule your service today. And remember, the All Year family is here to serve your family all year long. And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Delays continue on the northbound turnpike at Beeline Highway, and there are backups on southbound I-95 from Woolbright Road to Atlantic Avenue. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250 keyword West Palm traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. This March, go for the green in the poker room. Lucky high hand winners this week get a chance to win a piece of the $10,000 cash giveaway on Saturday. Plus, there's 65 tables of action with cash games, new and exciting tournaments, and bad beat jackpots. Our table game area features Ultimate Texas Hold'em and 3-card poker with just a $5 minimum 7 days a week. Check out all the ways to win at pbkennelclub.com.
This sales event will be held at one location only, City Kia of Greater Orlando, just off the Florida Turnpike. Drive a little, save a lot.
Whoa, make that switch. Make that switch to City Kia.
The City Kia Orlando 500 is back bigger than ever. It's a race for the record. Orlando 500. Save up to $15,000 on select new City Kias. Orlando 500. Last year, over 5,000 customers made the switch to City Kia, and you can too. Lower your payment today. Rates as low as 0%. New Kia Sportage from only $189 a month. Triple your tax return up to $5,000. Orlando 500. All offers and terms on select models. This sales event will be held at one location only, City Kia of Greater Orlando, just off the Florida Turnpike. Drive a little, save a lot. It's the City Kia Orlando 500. Details at citykia.com.
Whoa, make that switch. Make that switch to City Kia. To City Kia.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service.
We wouldn't be buying it. The people of Greenland would vote whether or not.
Call us now at 954-604-4602.
We wouldn't buy it. They would
Visit
vote.
us at LaportaRoofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show.
All right, the third hour has begun. The show flying by. Okay, so I'm continuing with this. I don't care. I know people are telling me that I'm not. I am so ticked about this story with this Atlantic reporter in this chat group. I'm just so ticked off about it. And I, again, I checked Trump's True Social. Nothing new there today. Nothing new. I was just reading. I'm going to read some of this to you. This fake news reporter from The Atlantic, I was just reading his story in The Atlantic. Now, for those that are just tuning in and don't know what's happened, I'll just do a short recap of it. There's a story today, it broke yesterday, that Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Mike Waltz, the vice president, and others were involved in a private chat on Signal, which is an encrypted messaging app. And that Mike Waltz invited by mistake this reporter who's also the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine. This guy is one of the biggest never-Trumpers in the media. He is the originator of the story. This is very important. He is the originator of the story that the fake story that President Trump referred to soldiers who fell in the line of duty, right, lost their lives in battle, as suckers and losers. Okay? The Atlantic is hardcore left wing. In fact, I was looking on X. Someone had posted some of their headlines on X. I was looking over some of these. Let me pull some of these up just so you can get an idea of how left-wing they are. Here are some headlines from The Atlantic, where that is run by, the editor is the guy that was invited into this Trump cabinet talk about war plans before they happened. Here's one headline: in defense of naked Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the most influential vice president in history. It's totally normal that Joe Biden's son works for a Ukrainian energy company. These are all headlines I'm reading from The Atlantic. Let's see here. Joe Biden's dating advice for girls. Biden tells third graders Obama is really cool. Joe Biden crazy like a fox. I mean, so it's a hardcore liberal publication. And I'm not questioning whether or not the guy got the invite. He has screenshots. He was in this chat. That is a fact. What I'm questioning is, how did he get in the chat? And I don't believe, unless Trump comes out and has something different today, okay? And then I'll retract everything. It's okay. I don't mind being wrong. But I question how he got into the chat. Here, let me read some of his story in The Atlantic. This is the jerk, the liberal jerk, the one who reported that Trump called servicemen suckers and losers. The world found out, this is from his story in The Atlantic, the world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th that the United States was bombing the Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I know this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. And then he goes into a thing. This is going to require some explaining. Okay. Now, I want you guys to think about this. You are a reporter who hates Trump like the plague, okay? I want you to think about this now. And somebody like this, they're not rational. They think Trump is all these terrible things, okay? Your reporting is one of the most well-documented negative things ever reported about Trump, the suckers and losers thing. And you get a text message from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and then all of a sudden you start getting all these details and and Tulsi Gabbard's there, the vice president, the national security advisor, and you're getting the top secret plans for a military strike that hasn't happened yet, that the world doesn't even know about. And you just sit there looking at it. What would you think? And what would you do? I would think I was being punked or set up. I would be pretty terrified. If take this back a few months, right? If I got a text message inviting me to a private chat room and it had the Biden cabinet in it, I would think, I would think I was being set up for something, and I'd get the heck out of there, and I'd get out of there quick, wouldn't you? So back to his article here, which I can't even read all of it because you have to pay for a membership to read. And then I can't even get to the details of it. I guess I have to find it somewhere else because I'm certainly not going to pay to read The Atlantic. So the question is, who really invited him here? Why was his email address in that thread? Now they're blaming everything on Mike Waltz. And I'm telling you, based on what we know right now, and again, that could change in 5 seconds if Trump puts something on Truth. All right? I'm covering my bases here. I mean, I'm open to the idea that the guy's an idiot, but I don't see that yet. How did his email, from what I understand, I don't use Signal, but I've been reading about it this morning, and I've heard some people talk about how it works. You would have to have his email address. Why would Mike Waltz have his email address? Does that even make sense to you? This big Trump hater. And not only, why would he have his email address to invite him into the group? Or Pete Hegseth, he said the invite came from Hegseth, maybe because it was Hegseth's meeting. I don't know. But how did his email address get in the list of people to invite? So here's my thought. My thought is that none of these people do the chat thing on their own. These are cabinet secretaries and senior people. This is a highly classified meeting they're having, and it's online. And because of who they are and the offices that they hold, there's a lot of security involved. And my guess is, I've talked to people that work in presidential administrations. They don't even make phone calls themselves, these people. They have people call you and then they put you on the phone with them. With rare exceptions. Okay? My guess is someone on one of their teams, if it was from Mike Waltz, it would be his team, are the ones who did it, not him personally. I'd like to know if these cabinet officials and advisors and senior people, because Tulsi Gabbard's in this group, not everyone, some of them have advisory positions, official positions, but they don't have a cabinet department, some of the people that are in the meeting. Do they actually pick up their mobile device? And these are special, they don't have regular phones like you and I do from the Apple Store or from Verizon, okay? They don't go over to Sprint and get a deal. They have special encrypted phones and iPads and laptops, government, with all kinds of encryption and everything. And they probably have their staff do the whole thing because of the security involved with what they're talking about, because it's classified stuff they're talking about. And that's why the president hasn't commented on this. They're interviewing people right now that work for all of these different people to find out who had access. And a lot of times, people that, like, there's been instances, I remember, was it McDonald's? One of the big companies, and I've seen this happen a couple times, all of a sudden something weird gets posted and political or outrageous or something anti-Semitic on their Twitter, on their X. And then you find out, oh, it wasn't them, somebody has access to it, right? You know, my ex recently got hacked. Thanks to Elon Musk, I got it back. But the person, some of you may have gotten DMs from this person. The people, because it was an organization, not a person, that hacked my ex, were contacting people as me for like 3 weeks. I'm still getting DM responses from people they reached out to. I'm not going to tell you who they were or what they did. Some of you may have gotten some, and they were pretty convincing as me. I've read some of these DMs they were sending around as me. And it was very strange. And they were able to get control of my ex and represent themselves as me. And when they first got control of it, it was before I got locked out. So they were using it while I was using it for a period of time, and then they just took it. I got it back, and it's fine now. Brian Craig Show on X. And I was blown away by what they did as me when they had access to my ex, because they had access to a lot of things. People I know, and phone numbers and stuff of people. Some of them well-known people. You know, and I was very surprised. I got contacted by some people that said, "Hey, Brian, I got this DM from you. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, you know, and I told them I got hacked. Now I got it back, and the hackers are gone, but I couldn't believe it. Someone did this. Someone, not Trump people, someone invited this left-wing, Trump-hating, suckers and losers reporter into this chat to set up the Trump administration. And I'm going to stand by that until Trump says something on Truth Social or publicly and says Mike Waltz is an idiot and I'm firing him. Why has he even got this guy's? Then I'll change everything I said. And you guys can listen back to this show for years to come and say, Brian was wrong, and laugh. I don't mind being wrong. I don't want to be wrong on this. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I'm seeing right now. Okay. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our first break of this hour, and we'll be right back.
From the sidelines, get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So, perfect. But the guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
okay.
Okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching, have all...
If you're on hold, hang in there.
Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian
All right, call us on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, calling from Maryland. How are you?
All right, Marilyn, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to just get a temperature read. Are you about what you actually think? Are you more mad that it got exposed to?
No.
Is his opposition? Let me finish my question. His opposition, or the fact that there could be negligence within the Trump cabinet, like
Neither.
they make huge mistakes.
Neither. I based on, now again, this could change in 5 seconds because this is a developing story, right? So what I'm talking about is based on what we know right now. So something could break in 5 seconds and we say, okay, this guy's an idiot, Mike Waltz, and he messed up. But I don't think that's the case. Based on what we know right now, I think a deep state operative brought this guy in to set up the Trump team. That's what I think.
And you just don't think that it could be incompetence? Because one of the things that has been a concern with all the security risks that most of the cabinet had.
Well, as a never Trumper, I can see how you would look at things in such a warped way. Anything is possible, but what is more likely to have happened?
Knowing, I'm trying to figure out what because the point of it is that accountability is huge.
When you say there's a security risk with the Trump team, what are you talking about?
All of them are compromised.
Give me an example. Who's compromised?
Tulsi Gabbard has been compromised.
Who?
To be a Tulsi Gabbard. She's known to be, if you followed her history and if you followed her travel plans and her
travel plans
with Russia, of being, in a sense, almost like a Russian asset.
Her travel plans. Oh, okay. So Brittany Griner must be a Russian agent. She was in Russia. She went to Russia.
I mean, okay.
You think Brittany Griner might be a Russian spy because she went to Russia?
Cabinet members, and she doesn't receive money and doesn't have business.
Do you know what the source is? Do you know what the original source is for this BS story that Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian spy? Do you know what the? No.
Because you look at their.
No. Do you know where this came from?
They will show meetings. They will show dinners.
Oh, you watch Russian television? No, the original. Well, Bernie Sanders went to Moscow on his damn honeymoon. Okay. And you see him drunk with his shirt off with a bunch of Russians drinking vodka. Okay, does that mean Bernie Sanders is a Russian spy?
What I'm saying is that a lot of people can be compromised, and the fact that you just have a windmill propaganda echo chamber to just have total deniability,
I'm going to tell you because I think you know and don't want to share. The source that the original source that Tulsi, now excuse me, the original source that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian spy is Hillary Clinton. Just made it up. Hillary Clinton said it.
Television, and if you follow Russian,
you watch Russian television? What do you watch on Russian TV?
They show.
Do you speak Russian? Do you speak some Russian for me? You watch television, Russian TV? That's Vidanya. You speak Russian?
I'm saying, well, you know we have a global network.
No, you say it came. Do you watch Russian TV?
News from all over the world. You know that we're in 2025, that we can get access.
So I'm asking. So you watch Russian TV?
I watch global news. Yes.
Okay. You said Russian TV.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you speak and understand the Russian language?
What I'm saying is it's called a translation. You know.
Oh, it's a translation. Who translated that? So Russian television, let me ask, so this is what you want us to believe, okay? Russian television, they go on national television in Russia and announce who their spies are in the United States, and they said, Tulsi Gabbard's one of our spies working for us.
Because they know that people like you would never go to that source to actually do your due diligence to find out.
Wait a minute. If Tulsi Gabbard is a... No, slow down a second, lady. Slow down. I'm here till 9. Okay? So you're telling me that Russian television broadcast over their national television who their American spies are? That doesn't make sense.
What are you talking about?
If you're Putin and you have a high-level spy, why would you announce it on television? Wouldn't you keep it a secret?
They mock us. They think and know that we are dumb. They know that we are.
Well, okay, I will agree. I will agree that if you believe what you've told me, you are dumb. Not we, you.
What I'm saying is that the fact that you are trying to get your listeners to believe that there's not a global, that you can't watch global.
You can watch things anywhere. I'm not saying that. But explain to me why Putin would say, all right, tonight on Moscow Tonight, here's our list of high-level American spies. That's stupid.
Say is they talk about who is friendly with them and what they host, and they show dinners in their.
Is President Trump a Russian spy? Is he a Russian asset, President Trump?
Asset. If you read a book.
Okay, there he goes. President Trump's a Russian asset, she told me. There you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Here's our list of high-level American.
Yes, I hear myself. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, it's Joan from Tampa Bay.
Hey, Joan.
I hope you can sue those people that bombasted your account on...
Nah, I'm just glad that Elon got me my ex back.
I think you should.
Okay, all right. Appreciate the advice, the legal advice. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Justin from West Palm.
Hey.
That last caller was definitely a Russian spy.
I just think she was an MSNBC watcher, a Rachel Maddow fan. Probably upset that they fired Joy Reid. Don't give her that much credit. Do you think the Russians are sinking that low to hire idiots like that to try to spread? No. That Russia announces on national television who their high-level American spies are. No, they wouldn't do something so stupid.
All right. So the reason I called is I'm in the Navy Reserve, and we use Signal Chat. We use the Signal app for those chat groups because supposedly air quotes secure messaging. So the way it works is you can't add somebody by their email. You have to have their phone number to add them. But the only people that can add them is depending on the group settings, the chat settings, it can only be admins that can add people, or if the setting is switched off, anybody in the group can add people. So that's probably where they're starting.
But see, you using Signal, you're in the service. Okay, you using Signal or me isn't the same as a member of the cabinet of the President of the United States. And these people, they're at another level. They're at another level of classification and secrecy, and they also have people that do everything for them. And anytime they're involved in communications, they're being monitored by multiple people. That's how it's done. So there's no one could convince me, unless President Trump comes out and says it, that he was in the chat. That's a fact. I'm not disputing that. But I think the cabinet's being set up here.
But yeah, he would have to been physically somebody typed his number in there and added him.
Correct. So why would Mike Waltz do that? Put in this Trump-hating suckers and losers reporter in the Atlantic. Why would he do that? Why would he even have his number?
Like you said, there's probably people that handle their devices as well. It could be a number of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Somebody that is trying to undermine him.
Exactly.
All right. Appreciate the call. Hey, callers on hold, stand by. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back.
Radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott Shannon here on the Steve Kane Show with Amazing Brian. Just a reminder that at 10 this morning, we're back to the rock and roll music on the True Oldies channel.
How's it going?
Good, man. We're getting in there.
Good. Do you have anything in particular you wanted me to bring up?
We've gotten some good results on that. Just annuities being protected in Florida.
Oh, yes.
You know,
That's a big one.
Yeah, if you get a lawsuit.
Here, let me give you this to hold on to.
Sure.
So
Oh, yeah.
when we get
How you
back.
been, man?
Good. How you been?
Great.
You're coming in Thursday too.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to ask you about, we can do it Thursday or not at all, it's up to you.
Whatever.
Because one thing we never talked about, and I had a listener ask me about this, about how they get the income. Is it monthly, quarterly, yearly?
Any way you want.
We should talk about that, because I think that's an interesting thing.
Sure. We can talk about that too.
And how most people do it. I'll bring this up. Yeah, but let's save that for Thursday, because you're coming back Thursday?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good...
Yep. Well, for sure.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, I was listening to that on the way in. I think that's a bunch of baloney.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I didn't know it was the same guy that did the suckers and losers.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, interesting.
I mean, think who has access to your social media? The whole office, right?
And the government.
Exactly. You're not even exactly.
I just inadvertently picked some guy's random email and dropped it in there. I mean, unless some.
No way.
Assistant.
It's a total setup.
Yeah.
The guy's probably a deep state asset himself. You know.
Paddock has Florida Derby tickets with great food. I don't know, man. They just keep fighting the wrong battle. It's good though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we'll save the income thing for next time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
I just want. This actually happened to me. I was on 95. I got sued for like $500,000.
Oh my gosh.
Bumped somebody, you know. But I knew I had protection.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. Joe Thomas is in studio. Hey Joe, how you been?
Doing great.
Good. You know, you gave me this interesting paper on annuities, and it asks an interesting question, which I'm just going to ask you. Are annuities protected from creditors in Florida? And you know, it's an interesting thing because when we talk with Attorney Barry Siegel about the revocable living trust, you know, rich people are the ones who get sued, right? You don't sue poor people because they don't have any money to pay. And people that have assets are always worried about being sued. So is your, and it's not just sue, but also, you know, collection efforts, are annuities protected from creditors and lawsuits?
Yeah, 100% in Florida. They act just
Really?
like, they act just like a retirement account because they are. IRAs, 401ks, any kind of a pension plan is protected from creditors. They're creditor proof if there's a lawsuit. And so are annuities, because annuities are a pension plan. And they're a type of a trust in many respects. But I would always say to, you know, go to somebody like Barry Siegel to get a trust, because a trust is a great way to go. But this is like a poor man's trust, so to speak. You can put money in an annuity so you're not sued if you get into a car accident, you have a business lawsuit, anything like that.
Oh, a bit? Really? So, okay, so business owners,
yeah.
So what happened? Well, but wait a minute. Like, you know, you have a business, you have an LLC. How do you as a business owner, can you as your business have an annuity, or is it individual?
Sure. No, you could go individual, put it in there in the business owner's name, and that way he's protected from personal lawsuits.
Really?
Sure, you could be sued for sexual harassment or anything, and this would protect your money.
You know, this is you know, Huey Lewis in the News, the great Huey. Sure. Everybody loves Huey Lewis, right? Yeah. I was watching an interview with him, and he's had some hearing problems. He can't sing anymore.
Okay.
And this happened a couple years ago, and I saw him on an interview with this, and they were talking about his band. Well, how are they living? Because he was the front man, right? He had his band, back when they first got famous, got annuities and set up a retirement plan for the entire band.
I didn't hear that. Awesome.
I was like blown away by this.
Yeah.
So the whole band, they have a retirement plan, and it's done through annuities. Huey Lewis in the News.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing.
You know, people are just so fearful of the word annuity because they don't understand there's so many nuances to it. There's a lot going on. It's like I said to somebody recently, I said, you know, I don't know how a Boeing 747 works, but I get on it and I fly, right? Well, it's the same thing with this. You use them as a tool for retirement. That's the way it is. You know, you're not going to understand everything in life. It's not possible. You know?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things people get sued for, though. Sometimes, this happened to my mother. She got into a fender bender and she got sued.
Yep.
Right. So if you have your money in an annuity and I get into a car accident, I can't be my money's safe.
No, if it's issued through a big insurance, any kind of insurance company in the state of Florida, you're going to be 100% protected. Now,
oh my
I'm
goodness.
not an attorney. I don't do legal work. I'm a financial advisor, right?
Yeah.
Retirement advisor.
Yeah.
But I would always defer to an attorney for that specific answer. However, I know the law, Section 222 in here, and it covers lawsuit protection, again, with annuities.
You know, this is an interesting thing because you're right about annuities, okay? Because you hear of annuities, and I heard about annuities my whole life, and then when I first met you, it took about 90 seconds. You explained to me about annuities, and it was very eye-opening because I've heard people talk about them my whole life and never, and it's kind of a scary thing if you don't know, you don't know something.
Yeah.
But, the thing about annuities being protected from creditors, a lot of times people inherit money and then all of a sudden the creditors come after them and things like this. But in the state of Florida, annuities are protected from creditors.
Yeah, it's also, how do you find it? You can't find it. So you could make your daughter, your long-lost daughter, a beneficiary, or exclude your long-lost son and not have him where he gets any money. And that's totally legit.
I got to say, because, we talk off the air, so I don't want people to think this is just for commercial purposes. I don't know how long we've been together, but a year and a half, 2 years?
Whatever it is, yeah. It went by fast.
Okay, well, hey, life's good. Life's good. I have not heard one negative thing about an annuity.
No.
Not one.
The people that know about them know how well they work.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting.
Yeah, and that's an amazing thing. And because I'm not a gambler. I like that when you have an annuity, your money's safe. If the stock market goes into a Great Depression, your money is safe.
Right.
And the guaranteed income for the rest of your life. That is amazing.
Yep. Let me tell you, pensions are a big deal. Any kind of civil service worker, state government worker, they have pension plans. Well, guess what a pension plan is? An annuity.
And the Florida lottery, you were telling me, is an annuity. Let me ask you this, because these things are popping in my mind. There are so many people that are business owners that don't even realize it. I mean, if you're an Uber driver and you're smart, you've got your own corporation, right?
Exactly.
But do business owners come to you and set up a retirement plan for themselves with annuities?
Yeah, so I had a guy, this is interesting, talking about protecting himself. This particular guy went out on his boat. He's got a big boat, right? He's a construction guy, but he works very hard. He's got a big boat. He took a bunch of people out. Well, one of the girls said that she hurt her neck. Next thing you know, he's being sued for $1 million.
Oh my goodness.
So
oh boy.
He put his money in an annuity to protect himself because he didn't have a trust and he didn't have an LLC. He's just a hard-working guy with a corporation, with a construction company. And basically that annuity saved him. Okay, and I was telling you off mic about me on 95. I got sued for like $500,000. And the insurance company sent me a letter saying, hey, this may exceed your limits. You better get some money together. Honestly.
Oh my goodness.
But
get a new lawyer, Joe. Get a new lawyer.
I felt very comfortable knowing that most of my money's in annuities, But if you have money in checking account, savings account, any kind of attachable asset, lawyers love that because it's easy to attach. It's easy to get to.
And the other thing about annuities this is all amazing stuff. And by the way, Joe Thomas offers free phone consultations. No matter where you're located, give him a call and ask your questions. Some of the questions you hear me ask Joe when he stops by are things that listeners have asked me about. I don't know any. Joe is the financial advisor, not me, okay? You don't want to take financial advice from me. But, this is all amazing stuff. I want to give you Joe's number, give him a call, and you're going to put together a custom proposal for people based on their situation, their needs, their
Everybody's
goals.
different.
Yeah.
Age, amounts, everything.
But one thing about annuities that I also think is important, no matter what your income level, there's an annuity for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 5,000, 10,000 we start at. And most financial firms don't want to do anything less than $250,000, $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of our listeners called in that's a client of yours that it airs as a commercial, and she's her and her husband are on Social Security,
Exactly.
and I know people personally that are really uber rich that are in it. I was blown away because when you first started coming in, some of my friends would, I've been in annuities my whole life and everything,
Right.
and some of these guys are like really super rich.
Oh yeah, if you're smart, you have your money diversified.
Yeah. So here's Joe's number. It's 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. Call and set up that free phone consultation. If you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Joe, we'll see you. You're going to come by later this week and we'll
Yes,
talk.
sir. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Okay, now callers on hold, stand by. We're back. Yes, we're back. All right. I'll take these calls, and I've lost track of the order in which everyone called, but we'll do the best I can. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, yes, in the gated, guarded community where it's safe from those illegals. I wouldn't either, but I wouldn't either. Yes. By the way, before you get into this, I want to give you a lot of credit because I whooped your butt yesterday. You exposed yourself, and it was very humiliating for you. But you still called back. You still called back the next day. So I'm gonna. You've got guts. You've got BDE. Google it. All right. What'd you call about? Yeah. Go ahead. All right. Okay, now slow down. Okay, so I'm glad you called. I'm glad you called. This is awesome. So no, I'm not denying that it happened. It happened. Okay, this Trump hater was in the chat. That's a fact. No, I'm not disputing that. No. But how did he get into the chat? No, unknowingly. Why? So So you're saying that Mike Waltz put the suckers and losers reporter who broke that fake news story. He had his phone number, purposely brought him into a classified meeting. How do you unknowingly randomly put one of the biggest Trump-hating journalists in Washington in a cabinet meeting? Excuse me. Listen. I was just talking. Excuse me. I was just talking to Joe Thomas. Okay, Joe Thomas, was here. Joe Thomas is very active on social media, in particular Instagram. And I said, "How many people have access to your social media?" He's like, "Exactly." So you mean to tell me that Waltz purposely put in this random phone number? He didn't know who it was, and he just hit. Unpurposely or on? Wait a second. That's a word. Yeah, listen. I just went to Florida Atlantic University. My vocabulary is limited. You used a word unpurposely. I don't even know if that's a word. Unpurposely. What does that mean? No, I'm pointing out how stupid you sound. So I don't know how many combinations of phone numbers there are, but he just randomly, on accident, put in a phone number into this classified meeting with the cabinet about an attack that had not yet happened by the military, and it just happened to be the suckers and losers reporter from the Atlantic. What are the odds of that? Oh. Oh. When you say our pilots, do you mean American pilots or Iranian pilots when you say our pilots? Okay, just checking. All right, appreciate the call. Oh my, this is one of those things that doesn't pass the smile test. Why would Waltz? It's just come on. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Which one? Which video? Oh, your white friends protesting. Yeah. Yeah, well. Really? You mean wait a minute, are you saying that black people are violent? What is why would random black people that don't know me attack me? Or, Wow. I didn't. You have such a low opinion. You believe that black people are out of control, and if they see a MAGA hat, they commit assault and battery? That's a felony. That's a felony. No, not a fine. You'd go to prison. You would go to prison. That would be assault and battery. It would not be a fine. It would be a felony. I would press charges. No, it wouldn't. No, it would be jail, buddy. You would go to jail. You would go to jail. It's called assault and battery and a hate crime. And a hate crime. And a hate crime. Domestic terrorist? Domestic terrorist? Yeah. First off, DJs are some of the most intelligent people in American society. Yes. Who? Who's the DJ? Who's the DJ? Who's the DJ that he hired? That white guy? I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. Someone stupid that Trump hired? He had not yet been briefed on this. He was busy in meetings all day running America. No. Okay, Jay, listen, Jay, I got to run for the gold report, but before I run, why would the Trump cabinet bring into a classified meeting about military attack that had not yet happened to one of the biggest Trump-hating suckers and losers reporter in D.C.? Why would they do that? That's not a reason. All right, I appreciate the call. All right, only thing I know about are dumb callers. We'll be right back. All right. And it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the office of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking? At these prices, we've talked about this a lot in the last couple of weeks, but I want to, again, I'm sure people are coming in with old broken jewelry and things like this and turning it into cash right now. What are some of the things that are made of the metals other than jewelry that you see people bring in that are worth money? Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of things that just people are getting
I don't know. It sounds like it's a lot of cash too, at over $3,000 an ounce. So turn your clutter into boatloads of money. And when people come in, how does it work? Like if somebody has something, it's made of gold, it's made of silver, and they want to turn it into cash. What's the process when someone comes in? Yeah, and that's amazing. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And you can find both his address and phone number on his website, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, now before we go back to the phones, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. Listen, guys, go see Dr. Appleton if you're in pain. Stop suffering. Say bye-bye to your pain. His laser wave pain treatment repairs the damage in your body that's causing you the pain. That's why the 7 times he's rid me of pain, the pain has not returned, because he's fixed my problem. And just some of the pains that the laser wave pain treatment work on, and this is a very incomplete list, okay? Acute pain, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, repetitive motion injuries, knee pains, neck and back injuries, post-surgical swelling, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain, hip pain, neck pain, any kind of pain. And it works. He's rid me of pain 7 times. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself. There's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, and it's painless. And you don't even feel it when it's happening. Not just painless, you don't even feel it. There's no sensation at all. That's right. And it, of course, works. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome with Dr. Appleton, even on Saturdays. Give him a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. All right, let's go back. Oh, and online, AppletonCairo.com. That's AppletonCairo.com. Let's go back to the phones. What time should we end? What time should we end? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, you're on the air.
Hey, my name's Gabriel. I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And, ever since Trump got elected, I've been watching very closely back when he was first elected. And, he didn't do so great his first one. He did okay, but he didn't do that well, especially when we're looking at him now. And ever since I've been watching, I've been watching the people around me, very young individuals. I'm a young individual myself, and I'm watching them. And they are so confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to vote. They don't know who to look at, or, vote in the future, who to look at. And they're letting their teachers decide for them. And they're all super not smart. They're all like, yeah, that's great. And I just want to ask, what's your message to, young individuals?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Listen to me every day from 6 till 9, and my podcast and everything else I do, and then I'll red pill them all. I have, over the years, I have met so many listeners that used to be liberals until they listened to me for a number of years, and then they switch. But you're in Jacksonville. I went to Jacksonville last year. I was almost murdered on the streets by a homeless guy. Okay, now I'm not kidding. I made a YouTube video about it, and it's you're in a liberal town. I was staying in a hotel downtown, and down the street from the courthouse, and I thought it was a safe area. It's a safe area for criminals and murderers, but you're in a liberal town, Jacksonville. So what are you gonna do? Get out of Jacksonville.
No, I think you're 100% right. Definitely get out of Jacksonville, but
listen. This is, when you say young people, what age group are you talking about?
I'm talking anywhere from 16 to 20.
Oh, well, they're living off mommy and daddy. When they get out on their own and get out of college and they start supporting themselves and paying taxes, they'll become Republicans. You're talking about children. You know, you gotta. But you know, if seriously speaking though, Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA, he does incredible work, and he does outreach to colleges and even high schools. Okay, there's a lot of high school chapters of Turning Point USA. So how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 17 myself.
Why aren't you in school?
As of right now, I'm really sick.
Oh, you're sick? Okay, I get it. You're sick. Yeah, I used to have those days too. But look into Turning Point USA. Start a chapter at your school or your college. It'll be very popular. You know, Charlie Kirk, he would love to come to Jacksonville. Oh man, that's like untapped territory for Charlie Kirk. Yeah, there's a state university there, Jacksonville State University. I'd love to see Charlie Kirk there.
Yeah, definitely. No, he should come here. Definitely, I would love that. I think Florida would love that. I think, you know, quiet Florida Republicans would love to have a voice here.
You know, Jacksonville would be such a nice town if it weren't for the liberals.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. Take care. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, JJ.
This story about Signal, this is not negligence or incompetence. It's to me, I just see this with clear eyes. This is treason. I mean, to me, this is. I mean, it's Yemen. Okay, granted. I mean, we could tell those guys we're gonna, you know, it's 11 o'clock. We could call them up and say, hey, we're gonna bomb you at noon. There's nothing they could do except maybe save some of the people.
No, but something stinks about this story. I don't believe, unless Trump comes out today and says so, that Waltz just did this. I don't believe it.
You know, this Waltz is an idiot. This is ridiculous. This is definitely. We got a mole. There's a deep state.
That's right. Somebody's been. And the fact, President Trump, I've been checking all morning, hasn't posted anything on True Social. So they're investigating.
This guy, they give him, you know, the Medal of Freedom and a promotion. But under Trump, if they find this guy, and I believe they will. I mean, these guys. I mean, there are ways of finding the moles and the spies, no matter how long it takes, and it might not take very long at all. And but I think.
You know, when my ex I'm a very careful person. I've never been hacked before. When my ex got hacked last month. It happened while I was on it, and I don't want to go into what happened or who did it, but you know, it can somebody on his staff or some NSA person did it. They got in there and did it. They have access to it.
Goldberg guy, he's not. This is not a genius level guy. Okay, he's a liar. This is Politico, Atlantic, like the HuffPost and Salon. These guys.
Yes.
No credibility.
It's like Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow.
If I asked these guys, you know, if I gave a penny for their thoughts, I'd have to ask for change. These guys know nothing.
Yes.
It's pathetic. And
It's a setup. It's a setup. And I got to tell you, I talked about this for all 3 hours this morning, and you know, and a lot of people did not want me to, but I stuck with it. All right, take care. I appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunrise.
Okay.
How many individuals are there on a combined staff of all those people?
Exactly.
This was a conspiracy, but even if you had a high-level, high-tech guy that was able to infiltrate and do this, somebody had to, well, many of them had to drop the ball.
Exactly. You know, even me, you know, I'm a small-time guy, but my wife and daughter have access to my socials because I can't handle everything, even at my level. And I'm not the national security advisor or the secretary of this or that. You understand what I mean? So there's a lot of people that have access to it while they're using it. They probably don't use it themselves. But there's also probably deep state actors that have access to it at different sites. This is a sting operation. This is a setup. The Trump cabinet was set up here.
Well, a lot of people had to be oblivious to it.
It happened. You know, it happened. You know, we know it. All right, appreciate. We're almost out of time, so I'm being short, but thanks so much. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Big Daddy D calling from there, North Carolina. How you doing, boss?
All right, you got 20 seconds.
20 seconds. All right. Well, I think they shouldn't have cheated the last election.
All right, okay. We're not, open phones is on Friday, people. All right, listen, we are out of time for today. We will be back tomorrow. And those of you that are going on our cruise, we're leaving Sunday, even though I think I've been saying Saturday for a year. We're leaving Sunday. Those of you going on the cruise, bring your MAGA gear. Bring your MAGA shirts. Bring your MAGA hats, okay? Bring your MAGA gear. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Take care.
We take on the
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you are new, make sure you subscribe, all right? And if you're already sub, please like the video. I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.